When it comes to Haxy stuff, I think we all can agree that Godzilla's durability is way better than Kong's, because when this ice titan being blasted Kong, just from the low temperature alone, it was able to do real big damage to Kong's arm. These same absolute zero blasts Godzilla got hit by, and he was able to withstand it and break out of it without needing no aid of healing or nothing. Just like every version of Godzilla, he's over millions of years old. This version I'm talking about today, Godzilla's been around this long. Godzilla and King Kong have basically their own cinematic universe called the Monsterverse in recent movies. Let's analyze his power level in this universe specifically. Oh yeah, by the way, this Monsterverse, this live action universe, has comics that reside in the same universe too. So if you see comics throughout this video, that's why. I mean, even these comics have similarities when it comes to their design in it. Don't you love how they even call it the Monsterverse in the comics to kind of let you know which universe they're talking about? Yeah, they literally confirm that these comics are part of the same Monsterverse universe. They even say it. Official prequel graphic novel to the Godzilla vs. Kong. You know, this universe evolves to the point where it even has a show in the same universe on Apple TV and crap to further expand on the mythos. Like, you can literally see him getting cut up, and then panels later you don't see no cuts to show he can heal really fast. Due to these Titan beings being this big and bulky, you wouldn't think their reflexes would be pretty good. Catching stuff in his teeth, for example. Like, he's not just a big hulking beast. Like, he can do other stuff. Like, they even state he has other ways to see, because the brightness swallows his vision, but he has other ways to see. You know, one can say he has enhanced senses, super senses. Oh yeah, by the way, we never hear him talk English or nothing, but there's implications he can communicate with other Titans, or beings at least. It was kind of implied in this movie where he like got booked with these other Titans and they started kneeling before him. There's definitely implications that they can communicate. He's a full-blown energy projector. He feeds on different energies and he can project energy. That's why you see him do attacks like this, because he feeds on type of different energies. So you don't have to worry about him just cutting you with his claws. He can blast you or tail whip you. Like, it's even stated here when it comes to, you know, his energy manipulation, on how he draws his immense power from bionuclear circulatory system, and a whole bunch of deep stuff right here. They explain it. And when it comes to energy manipulation via radiation absorption, blah, 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 he can do omnidirectional type of blast. And the way he looks is specifically tied to what he absorbs or powered up by at that moment. That's why you might see him different colors. He might have a blue aura. He might have a flaming orange aura, like flaming, burning Godzilla, depending on what he's amped on. Or you might see him glow purple. A great example of how he powers himself up based on certain circumstances, you can kind of look at the different colors he's been. Some forms he can just do naturally. Some forms are like temporary for that spur of the situation type things. Like, I guess I use this burning one, for example, when he was like flaming looking. Like, it was in Godzilla King of the Monsters, the movie, where Mothra kind of helped Godzilla get powered up. Like, you see how Mothra got blasted, and you notice how the energy starts leaking over to Godzilla, pretty much making burning Godzilla, like you see him melting through stuff. Like, yeah, he was powered up by her. So it's like moments like this, he can change power tiers temporarily. One can say temporary amp, but everything he can do before, he can do better like this, you know, stuff like that. And same for other different colored forms. I mean, Earth is technically his playground. He's smart enough to know when war is about to happen, so he will go to certain places to get powered up on purpose. Prep for stuff like this, for example. There's even other examples of him absorbing radiation that's different, or absorbing different types of energy to get more powerful.
Godzilla's burning hollowed radiation.
Tiamat's Arctic lair sits in the direct path of electromagnetically charged solar winds, making it the largest stockpile of energy on Earth.
If Godzilla takes down Tiamat, he'll supercharge.
They even go as far as saying, and I quote, "the monster that ate a star." They said it, not me.
The monster who ate a star.
Godzilla.
Don't give Godzilla any prep time. He can literally just sulk in certain areas of the Earth where he knows it has the most power, and he can just sulk and get more powerful than normal, to where his already crazy blast power can just literally increase by literally a factor of freaking 20. I'm gonna bring this back up in a bit later on in the video though. I mean, this is the same continuity, so it kind of lets you know his evolution. One could say his size could directly correlate to his strength. I mean, he's a lot bigger in the newer stuff, so it does imply each movie he does get stronger as time goes by. He absorbs more radiation after every new battle. You know what I'm saying? I love that the movies actually give stats, or just the lore in the Monsterverse in general, when they talk about Godzilla. He's almost 400 feet tall and almost 100,000 tons, so just off gate, just from his sheer size, he has to be physically strong to be able to support his own weight. He can at least lift, one could say, 100,000 tons. This is something I shouldn't need to show you evidence for, but he's consistently shown to be able to lift up beings, or different kaijus, for example, that are as big as him or somewhere in the size of himself. I mean, we've seen him lift different kaijus onto his back. So, like, some of these beings might be slightly smaller, but like they're around the same ballpark. Even if they're not his exact weight, they got to be at least 50,000 tons, 10,000 tons, stuff like that. He still can lift up these beings. So Godzilla can definitely lift thousands of tons. It's a clear example of him being able to lift big kaijus like this. Like, we literally seen Godzilla jump this Super Titan 8. We see him slinging the air. So I think we all could agree if a building was to drop on Godzilla and the weight, and if the building wasn't to break apart, he would be able to hold the weight on his back with his raw physicals and just muscles in general. Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. I mean, it's one of them things that nobody notices. You know, the ship that was holding Kong, like, you see him flip over this entire ship, which had to be thousands of tons. And we got to remember that Kong was on the ship, so, you know, Kong is about the dang close to the size of Godzilla, so it's probably double the weight he just lifted up or flipped while underwater. I mean, he technically has other weapons like his teeth and stuff, but like he can literally sling him around by biting him and throwing Kong around. Does like a literal judo flip the Kong. You can literally see him judo flip Kong, yeah, being his size. He slung him so hard to where he actually went that far. And yeah, he can hit hard too, guys. Like, I'm talking about full-blown suplex wrestling style stuff. He literally did that to Kong, suplexing him. Seriously, who doesn't believe he can lift buildings at this point in the video? And he can definitely lift over 100,000 tons. And when it comes to his striking power, he can hit with similar force or more. And they destroy buildings in their fight just by accident. Like this, for example. Yeah. Thick bridges. He can just obviously just easily walk through. Can break a massive amount of ice. Yeah, he can hit hard. Ships like this, you see him just melt through. With his tail, he goes through helicopters. And just goes through these like butter. Submarines are a joke to his might. Look at the raw power he can put out with a shockwave just from tackling another kaiju type being. He can hit other large kaiju in the air with just a tail whip. Like, I'm talking about tag teaming and just hitting them in the air. Simply being strong off the level buildings is an understatement based on what you've seen his durability withstand. Bullets, tank shells, all kinds of stuff we've seen his body withstand with ease. Even when King Kong had this super crazy axe. Even when Godzilla was dropped from extremely high atmosphere, long falls, his body can withstand such impacts. I mean, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but yeah, just like his physicals, his blasts can destroy buildings, you know, vice versa. Physicals or blasts can destroy oil rigs, buildings of all sorts. You know, this kind of thing is nothing new. Just blast through multiple buildings with his blast power. I shouldn't even have to show this, but yeah, because this is like a no-duh moment. Aircraft carriers he can melt through with his blast power. Yeah, so he can blast through all of this back to back to back. Having one beam that would just go from one building to the next and it would just keep on going, deleting them. There's some legendary large titans in this universe, even some that are even bigger than Godzilla, that have the kind of blast power to where even in sunny places where the environment's literally sunny, they have the blast kind of power or just raw energy to produce so much ice on the spot that they can literally change the climate in a sunny place this easily, guys. And guess what? Godzilla has to blast these type of beings, and you guessed it, he's the one that has the blast power to clear the sky and make it back to normal like the way it was. But Godzilla can clear it all up. It's one of those feats I want to get back to in a bit, but his blast also was shown to be able to drill from the Earth's surface all the way down to a different part in the middle of the Earth. Like, there's like a hollow Earth in this universe. He was able to drill down there with his blast power. But I'll get back to that in 2 seconds. Hold on. To further get an idea of his strength is how much he can withstand. I mean, the beings like Mechagodzilla he has to fight, he has to withstand blast from, can cut through mountainside structures. So it just kind of makes sense with his durability. He has to compete against beings like this. Yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, when he was boxing it out with Mechagodzilla, the Metal Godzilla, I just wanted to let you know, he wasn't at full strength, by the way. He was kind of drained and tired out. I mean, this guy's constantly withstanding nuclear explosions, guys. Like, I'm talking about in movies way back in 2014, like, aka one could argue his weakness in the movie series that we've seen, he's still able to be seen to withstand nuclear bombs. Like, back in the day, things that can wipe out a city, we've seen him actually withstand. Obviously, he's not dead. This is like old footage. He's still alive. So, yeah, this didn't work on him. A lot of times when he gets hit by nukes, they're just used to power him up anyway because of the radiation and such. But he can take the concussive blast, too, of the nuclear bomb. Like, he's literally right there. And he wasn't, like, he was technically weakened and withstood all this pressure. That's a lot of concussive force. I'm just saying. You guys already probably know about Castle Bravo. Those nukes existed, too. And you already know where this is going. Godzilla's body can withstand such nuclear type bomb or test way back earlier in his career. Bravo makes huge craters. Like, he can withstand stuff like this. Like, literally, this is a visual of how close he was next to the nuclear bomb, like right next to the crap. Like, that lets you know how durable Godzilla is.
The most powerful weapon this country has ever created could not bring that thing down.
I mean, I love when shows and stuff have moments where they kind of analyze stuff for us when it comes to those raw power output. This pretty much proves, based on the kilotons, he could definitely level a town worth of buildings at least. This is still scratching the surface. All this stuff I've been mentioning, just keep in mind that the blast he can put out, his body can withstand, and vice versa. So one could say his durability can give you an idea of how hard he can blast out with. He can withstand a similar blast to himself. It's pretty much suggested, just like how his body can withstand nuclear bombs, his energy blast with his mouth, his blast power can produce nuclear bomb eccentric type force as well, in his base state, might I add. All right. One of his crazier feats happened in Godzilla vs. King Kong. He actually blasted to hollow Earth. I'm talking about dang near halfway to the other side of the Earth he had to blast to. In a very short amount of time, he was able to produce energy to drill all the way down through the planet's crust. They even describe it like visuals on the planet on how he had to drill all the way through, all the way down. Like, that's miles and miles. This would not only confirm that he can blow or blast with nuclear type energy worth of equivalent energy, but way worse, people online have calculated, not me, but people online have calculated this would take a similar power needed to like level countries or a country or something. That's what they calculated. It would be this kind of power he would technically be producing. It's even reiterated that he blasted through the crust of the Earth. Him being able to blast all the way from the surface of the planet, all the way through miles and miles of rock, all the way to the hollow part of Earth. I would say he's dozens and dozens of more powerful than any nuke. Not just nuclear level, but way above it. Like, just think about this whole other world under the planet. And Godzilla literally decides to blast all the way there from the surface. But let's be disrespectful and not do no calculations real quick. Let's be not disrespectful at all. Let's just say his blasts are as strong as the mightiest nuke. Let's just say that. Be disrespectful. I think we all could agree he's above that. But let's be disrespectful real quick. Even if we was to just assume he was equal to the biggest nukes, 50 megatons, which I'm being disrespectful saying, let's just assume that real quick. Even if we assume that. Never forget he can amp himself up in certain sections of the world if he wants to supercharge, by the way. Like I brought up earlier on how he can increase his power by 20s. So even if we was to disrespect him and say he's only nuclear bomb level, bare minimally he'll be nuclear bomb level times 20. 50 megatons times 20. That's a bare minimum 1,000 megatons in this purpled up, charged up state. How much blast power he can produce. He's literally 20 times stronger. So basically like this, when he's supercharged times 20, just to put this in perspective on what 1,000 megaton blast, like the radius it would hit, you can be all the way in Charlotte, North Carolina, for example. And the blast will be able to reach stuff way over here in Pittsburgh. Yeah, you're seeing this correctly. The blast will be this powerful. Like that can give you an idea of what 1,000 megatons will be like. It will reach all the way past Virginia, all that far. Especially in this Kaioken times 20 type state. His blasts are this potent in this state. I mean, when you put some thought behind this stuff, it gets scary because, I mean, you got beings out here that Zilla has to fight, other legendary titans.
Her power covered the Earth in the last ice age. Her power covered the Earth in the last ice age.
It makes you really wonder, what are the limits of them, of these titans? We're just going to keep seeing more feats as the movies go on. United States is a large country, so smaller countries, yeah, basically Godzilla, it's confirmed he could definitely level them with not that much effort, really, with the amount of energy he can produce. Shoot, if we're being honest, if we base how hard he can hit based on his durability, there's implications he might be able to level smaller planetoids or just planetoids in general. See, in the comics, they kind of expand on it more. Like the comics that reside in this same universe, they kind of imply that Godzilla was like right next to an extremely powerful asteroid or meteor impact that eradicated most life. Like you can see it. Literally, Godzilla's right here. There's implications he was right next to that mess, like something this powerful, and was okay after that, obviously, because he's still alive in current times. This was years ago. If you do Google searches about this Permian impact, Godzilla apparently withstood something that killed 95% of all species. One could argue surface wiping. He withstood an impact and survived that wiped out a big majority of all species. And Godzilla apparently survived this. It really depends on how you want to look at it, but like something that could surface wipe the whole planet or knock out most of the life on the surface of the Earth. What do you think he could do to like something as small as the moon? He would be able to do some serious damage to a moon-sized structure. Wouldn't you agree? Like if he just wanted to? I mean, if Godzilla can blast from the surface of the Earth all the way to the middle of the Earth, what do you think he would do to like something like the moon? He would be able to literally blast all the way through the moon. I mean, the way they talk about his blast power, they compare like the energy or radiation that he gives off. They compare it to like black holes and stuff. Like, I'm not just talking about black holes. I'm talking about supermassive black holes. They're comparing the energy he puts off to stuff like that. Like that could imply he could destroy a planet if he wanted to, but it's a bit vague. They could be just talking about the energy he gives off is similar to black holes, but yeah, that might not necessarily mean like he's actually black hole level, but I mean, it is literally stated that Godzilla's like breath or blast power is nature's most devastating weapon. So I definitely see it being in the realm of possibility of him possibly being able to like level smaller planetoids or something. If he's able to withstand something like this with no damage in his weaker days, yeah, a movie version of a character being this strong sounds crazy, but there's a great chance he would be able to do catastrophic damage to a moon-sized structure if he can literally withstand such impacts like this, guys. His blast power is similar to what he can withstand. He can damage beings that can damage himself and vice versa. Nuclear bombs and things of that such won't work against him. This is just something to think about. You're probably wondering, what does this Permanian impact have to do with his blast power or how hard he can hit? That's a durability feat. What does that have to do with his blast power? No, that has a lot to do with his blast power, because think about it. He has to fight beings that are durable as himself all the time. Like, I'm talking about, like, hypothetically speaking, if he was to fight an exact duplicate clone of himself, and if his body's durable enough to withstand that type of impact, he would be able to damage himself if he was to fight himself or something. You see what I'm saying? That's where I'm getting all that stuff from about his durability. That's why the durability and stuff matters. His blast would have to be potent enough to damage beings that can withstand stuff that can basically level more than one continent or multiple continents on the earth. You see what I mean? This impact was a big extinction event that happened a long time ago that wiped out a big chunk of the surface of the earth and all life on the surface of the earth. He was able to withstand something that was billions of times worse than nuclear bombs, and he withstood that stuff. So that's what I mean when I say it kind of lets you know how hard he can hit. It makes you wonder, what would he be like in them temporarily amped up forms? Like, how much energy would he be able to equivalently produce in a form like this or a form like this? Yeah, in the new movie, he apparently got powered up to the point where he could produce a blast that's 20 times mightier than normal. This would be like saying all this moon splitting stuff I already mentioned he could possibly be able to do would be this times 20? Now, when it comes to all this moon shattering stuff I've been talking about, Godzilla possibly being durable enough to withstand moon shattering or close to moon shattering impacts, like, that's under the assumption that Godzilla was ground zero to the actual meteor that caused this extinction event. Like, I'm talking about being right on top of it. Like, he took a direct hit. This is assuming he took a direct hit. Of course, the force he had to withstand would be significantly weaker if he didn't take a direct hit from this. But just to give you some visuals on what he apparently withstood that did all this crap to the earth after it hit him, just to give you an idea of how catastrophic the Permanian one is, there's other events that are weaker that still do catastrophic damage to a wide surface of the planet itself. That thing that Godzilla withstood makes nuclear explosions like this look like a joke. You see what I mean? I think we all can agree at the lower end, he should have enough energy to level a smaller country. Wouldn't you agree with that at the very least? At least in his base state, if he's not trying to amp himself up with other stuff, he has other means of making himself stronger. Maybe if he amps himself up enough, you can look at it like he could possibly do worse, like level a continent or a couple continents. If he really took a direct hit from something like that and his body was able to withstand that mess, that would easily be enough force to level multiple continents, which would mean he would be able to mess up certain planetoid-sized structures, like maybe moon-sized structures, if he took direct impact from it. I definitely think, considering the size difference between the Earth and the Moon, I definitely believe, if you don't want to just believe he could bust the Earth, I definitely believe it's definitely possible for him to bust a moon-sized structure. That would be easily more realistically in the realm of possibility. Especially since he has means of amping up his power times 20, which I already showed evidence of throughout this video more than once, but it really is up to how you perceive it. Do you guys think I'm tripping? Do you think it's possible that he could definitely level a moon-sized structure? Even if you don't want to believe he can level an Earth-sized structure, do you think his blast power could get this potent, especially if he can amp himself up? I want to hear your thoughts on this. But before I get going, everybody, respect Godzilla, even in the Monsterverse. We're just going to keep getting more feats. Thanks for the donations. It helps out a lot. Respect Godzilla, though. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.